Just a robot. Before I get into this video, I will be doing some disclaimers and a brief introduction. However, if you want to skip straight into the main video, there are timestamps and chapters down below. I'm not a professional, a psychiatrist or psychologist. I'm informing my opinion based on having a psychology and criminology degree and using scholarly research to substantiate my points. I would also like to make it clear that I do have a personal stake in this. I'm undergoing an autism assessment myself. And while I am not formally diagnosed, when your preliminary assessment comes back with 80% and your GP and psychiatrist both agree that something's there, let's be fair, the neuro ain't typicaling. However, the way that autism presents in males and females does have some differentiation, so I won't be drawing directly on my own experiences in this video. Just know that some of the comments coming about autism because of this is ticking me off on a personal level. Just a Robot is a channel with 206,000 subscribers and has been known throughout the art commentary community as a menace, to put it lightly. I've never had any personal interaction with Jar, which I consider a blessing because in 2023 I flew over and stayed in Los Angeles, and this year 2024 I flew over and stayed in Santa Ana, on both occasions because I was meeting up with friends and staying in an Airbnb, and for some of those days they went to VidCon. I myself did not attend VidCon on either year, mostly because I wasn't interested in it. I would have much preferred to go to Disney, which I did, and go to a Californian beach, which I didn't get to do either year and I'm still dying to do. Nevertheless, I would be lying if I said that some of the experiences my friends had wasn't a factor in me wanting to not go. I won't be discussing any of their experiences. If you would like to, you can go and watch the Cope and Seethe video in which they go over in their own words. Honestly, by the second visit in 2024, I was watching them leave for VidCon like, Godspeed my sisters, please return and not end up in the back of a van. In a nutshell, many women in the art commentary community feel uncomfortable when interacting with Jar due to him consistently making suggestive and inappropriate comments or jokes. On one occasion, he made repeated advances to meet up with someone who responded with clear refusals. Many have told him to stop, and Jar himself stated he is aware his behaviour is wrong. More specifically for this video, Jar notes how he has autism and dyslexia, which he claims to not use as an excuse. However, much of the conversation has diverged into his autism being a point that is repeatedly brought up as a form of explanation for his behaviour. While this could be a contributing factor, I'm not a fan of how autism is being spoken of in this regard, and we'll go over why this is not an accurate view of those with autism as a whole. Autism spectrum disorder, ASD, is a neurological and developmental disorder that affects how people interact with others, communicate, learn, and behave. An aspect of autism that is attributed to difficulties with socialization is a lack of and an inability to detect prosody. Prosody refers to the patterns of stress and intonation in a language that change when based on the context of a conversation. Many people have prosody, whereas many autistic people lack prosody. Their tone, volume, and body language may not match the context of the conversation. They may sound serious when making a joke, or vice versa, sound like they're making a joke when they're serious. On the other hand, they may also lack the ability to perceive others' prosody, unable to detect indicators that express disinterest or discomfort. An accommodation commonly made for autistic people is making instructions clear and concise, using words rather than social cues. In the case of Jar, it may well be that he had been unaware of the discomfort of others when speaking to them, thus leading the continuation of these scenarios wherein he makes others uncomfortable. However, it's important to note that in many situations, Jar was given explicit verbal and written instructions as mentioned previously when attempting to meet up with another creator. While cognitive processing can be complex for autistic people when using hidden social cues such as tone in person or leaving someone on read online, language that is plain and direct generally will yield the wanted result. As detailed by the National Autistic Society, using specific keywords that are repeated and stressed is a tip for communicating with autistic people. The other creator repeatedly stressed no, they did not want to have a voice call. No, they did not want to meet up. They truly did not stutter, yet these plain as day statements were willfully ignored by Jar. This is not an autistic trait. Another trait of autism may be oversharing or information dumping, especially about topics they are passionate about. Some of these topics may not always be appropriate, such as those Jar attempted to engage others in. The critical part that I want to re-emphasize on this is that autistic people will tend to information dump, again, about topics they are passionate about, special interests that they have. For example, I will sit and talk to you about the entire history of World of Warcraft from the primordial era to the current day 41. I will dump the origins of the Burning Legion before you until my heart is content. On the other hand, Jar's interests seem to be some kind of degenerate rot. This tells me that yet again, it's not the autism, it's just Jar. The final thing I want to talk to you about is masking, because masking is a thing. Masking is a strategy used by some autistic people, consciously or unconsciously, to appear non-autistic in order to blend in and be more accepted by society. Autistic people are not stupid. A large chunk of the autistic community are well aware that certain behaviours are not acceptable in everyday society. Certain things that they may or may not do can come across as weird. For example, I may have the strong, overwhelming urge to info dump about the World of Warcraft universe until the end of time, but I know it's not acceptable to do this during a work meeting, so I suppress that urge until it is a more appropriate time, and there may be people who will actually listen to me, begrudgingly or not. I know that during periods of quiet and respect, such as the upcoming 2 minutes of silence during the upcoming Remembrance Sunday, it is not appropriate to get my fidget box out and start clicking. We're aware that in the case of Jar, he knows that certain things he does and says is inappropriate, and yet masking is never used. Masking can be quite debilitating, especially when used for long periods of time, but we understand that we have to do it at some points throughout the day and throughout life for other people's comfort and to respect other people. The fact that Jar does not do this is seriously concerning, and it indicates he does not care about the comfort of others. I believe that when we're talking about cases such as Jar, autism shouldn't be as big as an aspect as it is talked about. I'm very much aware that a lot of this is just internet talk by saying that's so autistic or the autism is real. Other people are going away from the conversation genuinely believing that autism is this, and I want to make it clear it is not. Autism looks different for every single person, but there are trends and tendencies that are consistent with autism. That's why we have a diagnostic criteria for it. And Jar's behaviour simply doesn't have an explanation that lies within autism itself. It's all to do with Jar. And that's why I think it's really important to not hone in on the autism aspect as much as it is, even if it is just internet shite posting. People are allowed to express themselves and present stories in the way that they want. That's absolutely fine. I'm just here to tell my take on it and put my tuppence in where I think is relevant. It just truly sucks for the autistic community, especially in such a niche community such as commentary community or the art commentary community, to have their representatives be creepy or weird or wrongins. And while I accept that some of these things may be caused by autism, I think the root problem is the person themselves and the way that they think, irrespective of autism. And I would really like to see people not like this on YouTube anymore. Thank you. Those are my opinions on this. If you have any thoughts, comment it down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.